when you can use a bow instead. Just look at the stat line. The blowpipe blows. It seems that there are no redeeming factors here, but in this video I will tell you how to get the most out of this seemingly underwhelming weapon. First of all, the blowpipe skill is a hard difficulty skill that does not default to any other weapon skill, only to dexterity -6. By default, blowpipes shoot small darts, but the skill's description mentions powders that you can blow at targets within 1 yard. Unlike shooting darts, this is treated as a melee attack, and it receives a +2 bonus, which is significant. So the blowpipe skill is unique in the sense that it's actually both a ranged and a melee weapon skill, sort of. You also get a -2 or higher penalty for wind when using blowpipes outdoors. Let's take a look at the stat line again. The blowpipe from GURPS low-tech is a TL0 weapon, which means that it can appear in hands of even the most primitive humanoid tribes. Damage is a static 1d-3 small piercing. This does not scale with strength, and small piercing is a very bad damage type. Accuracy is 1, which isn't good. Range of strength ×4 is actually pretty decent in most situations. I have no personal experience with blowpipes, but I would expect a much shorter range. Notice that there is no half damage range. The weapon itself and its ammunition are light, exactly twice as light as a regular bow. Rate of fire and the reload time is the same as for bows, but you cannot do fancy quick shooting like archers can. Blowpipes still are quite bulky, same bulk value as the short bow. However, blowpipes are dirt cheap, only $30, and require a ST2. Even a child or a halfling can use it without any problems whatsoever. A blowpipe dart costs $0.1, which is 20 times cheaper than an arrow. Also, you should not forget that it only requires one hand to attack, but 2 hands to reload. But yeah, even with all that, the weapon is basically useless against anything larger than a pigeon. Until you add poison into the equation. Poisons in GURPS are surprisingly strong, while in D&D I have never seen any players using poisons ever, because it just wasn't worth a hassle for some 1d4 dexterity damage or something like that. But in GURPS some poisons are straight up deadly. There are some poison examples on page 439 of GURPS Basic Set, some more on pages 128 to 130 of GURPS Low-Tech, and some more in the Dungeon Fantasy line. I have also converted most of the D&D poisons, but they use a different pricing scheme, so the dollar costs can be wildly different. But if you're using existing GURPS poisons, you will be surprised to find out that they were very cheap. A dose of cyanide that appears on TL4 costs only $2. A dose of TL0 curare, however, costs $50. But considering the deadly effects that are very difficult to resist, it's worth it. You just have to deliver it, hit an unarmored hit location. But this isn't actually an advantage of blowpipes over any other ranged weapon. You can poison arrows too, so you can do the same thing with bows. But in any case, if you're thinking about getting a blowpipe, you will have to familiarize yourself with the poison rules. Remember I mentioned blowing powders instead of darts? It is easy to forget about this feature, because the powder blowpipe, also known as Mitsubishi, does not appear on the table, only in the text. It has the same characteristics as the normal blowpipe, but can only blow powders. Can normal blowpipes be used to blow powders? The rules for this are inconsistent. If you can, then there is no point in having Mitsubishi as a separate weapon at all. Rules that I will talk about later seem to imply that normal blowpipes cannot be used with powders. A Mitsubishi takes 1 second to ready, and its reload time is not given in GURPS Low-Tech. As for the powders themselves, you can use the same poisons, but now you can also deliver respiratory agents. GURPS Lowtech has another blowpipe hidden away within its pages, the Incendiary blowpipe. This one can be used as a single-shot flamethrower. While damage is low, it deals it in a cone-shaped area, so it can harm multiple targets. The range is not good though, making it almost a melee weapon. Still, I consider this to be a good option for small characters, such as halflings and goblins, because the damage does not depend on strength. If you really like blowpipes, then there is a must-have article that you have to read, A Killing Breath by Thomas Weigel from Pyramid 333. This one greatly expands the assortment of blowpipes, but also stealthily renames them to blowguns, and presents you with a plethora of customization options. As you can see on the table, there are now 6 blowpipes, not 1. If you have a good memory and attention, you will notice that the stats for the normal blowpipe actually differ from the one from GURPS Lowtech. So, if you're using this article, the GM must tell you which stat line is being used. Now we have a tiny concealable blowpipe for stealthy assassinations and huge blowpipes for long-range sniping. Also, you might have noticed that the damage type is now crushing, as the default ammunition becomes a blunt bullet. The article expands the rules for blowpipe usage. There is now more detail in one- and two-handed use, more detail about the minimal range, parrying, and at last you get the -4 penalty to hearing rolls made to notice the shot. So, well, before you were just told that this is a silent weapon, now you have an actual mechanical effect. Customization options are great. You can add the mouthpiece to increase damage and range, make the material weaker or stronger to make the weapon cheaper or heavier and sturdier. You can make a narrow mouth blowpipe to increase range and decrease damage, or a wide mouth blowpipe to increase damage but decrease range. And you can turn any of these blowpipes into a Mitsubishi. Taking the very low base cost into account, these cost factors do not make the weapon unaffordable, and that's very good. Ammunition becomes varied as well. You can fire bullets to deal crushing damage, darts to deal small piercing damage, or spikes to deal impaling damage. Darts can even be rifled to increase accuracy. The article also provides rules for using blowpipes as melee weapons. Depending on the length, a blowpipe can be a baton, jaw, or quarterstaff. This is not an effective melee weapon, but it can still save you in a pinch. You can even outfit it with a weighted head for increased swinging damage, or a sharp tip for impaling thrust damage. Aside from providing 3 interesting martial arts for blowpipe users, the article also introduces a new perk, Breath Mastery. The perk has the breath control skill as a prerequisite, and increases your strength by 1 per level for the purpose of determining range and damage with a blowpipe. Blowpipes do not have strength dependent damage, so I assume this was supposed to be a flat +1 to damage, or maybe +1 per 2 levels, I don't know. Now let's take a look at this. A normal blowpipe with a mouthpiece, the wide mouth option, and very long spikes as ammunition will deal 1d + 1 impaling damage with a range of strength ×2. All that on an ST3 weapon. Considering the typical combat distances, this is actually not only a viable but a superior weapon to even bows in certain situations, even without poison. This is especially relevant to small characters such as halflings and goblins. If you add the Breath Mastery perk, things become even deadlier. And what about fine or very fine ammunition? I think it might be even unfair to make very fine spikes deal +2 damage. But this is still not everything GURPS has for blowpipes. If you open up GURPS Dungeon Fantasy 12 Ninja, you'll find another weapon that uses this skill, but that's not actually a blowpipe. Fukumi Bari, also known as mouth darts or mouth needles, are stored in the mouth and then spat at the enemy. I remember this weapon from D&D's Arms and Equipment guide, but it was spelled there as Fukimi Bari, not Fukumi Bari. And I am happy to know that it exists in GURPS as well. Unlike the blowpipe, Fukumi Bari has strength-dependent damage. It's not impressive, but you get many style points for using the mouth darts. Just remember not to apply contact poison to them. The same book also has a blowpipe mount to make using Mitsubushi faster. Finally, I want to spotlight another rule inconsistency. Mitsubushi is said to take too long to reload in combat in GURPS low-tech, even though no numbers are given. GURPS Dungeon Fantasy 12 Ninja says that reloading a Mitsubushi takes 1 minute. Pyramid 333 says that a Mitsubushi takes twice as long to reload as the normal blowpipe, which means that it usually takes 4 seconds to reload. However, in the ammunition table it says that the reload time for a powder is 10 seconds. Which one is correct? I don't know, but 10 seconds or a minute both sound fine to me. And I think that's it, unless I missed something. I hope that I made the blowpipe look more effective and interesting to you. You can fire darts, poisoned or not, various powders, or even use it as a flamethrower. Still, in most situations, it's a subpar weapon, but it does seem like a good assassination weapon, taking the deadliness of poisons into account. It requires a quite large point investment. It's a hard skill, and you probably want some other skills to complement it, such as stealth, camouflage, climbing, and poisons. Researching these weapons for the video made me excited to try out the blowpipes in my games, especially for small characters. In any case, thank you for watching, have a nice day, and I'll see you in the next video.